One, it is me, Blake Allard, once again coming at you with another discussion. So today I want to discuss the Scopes monkey trial because I feel it is the best um, issue that shows the controversy between a modernist versus a fundamentalist. Before we actually discuss what the trial was about, I think it's important for us to understand what a fundamentalist and a modernist is. So, a fundamentalist is a person who believes in the strict literal interpretation of scripture in a religion, while a modernist is someone who emphasizes freedom and progress in religious thought. To give you an example of what I mean, a fundamentalist may look at a scripture that says, put peanut butter on a piece of toast. So, a fundamentalist is going to go get some peanut butter and put it on a slice of toast. A modernist may read that same scripture that says, put peanut butter on toast, and the modernist may ask the question, well, what type of peanut butter? Crunchy, creamy, what type of toast? And so a fundamentalist, they are very strict and they stick to whatever the Bible is going to say, while a modernist believes that there is room for interpretation. So, what was this trial? Well, the Scopes trial actually occurred in 1925, and it first started off as a publicity stunt. It was the ACLU wanted to um, address the issue of evolution being taught in school or not being taught in school. And so, in order to start this trial, they needed a prosecution and a defense. Well, very quickly, William Jennings Bryan, he volunteered to be the leader of the prosecution. Now, William Jennings Bryan, he was the leader of the Democratic Party. He had been nominated to be the president about 3 times. He was, according to the article that we read last week, Jennings Bryan was a staunch creationist. He was a strong critic of biological evolution, and his goal was to establish the right of taxpayers to control what is taught in their schools. Now, if you have a prosecution, you got to have a defense. Well, they tried to find other people, but Clarence Darrow, who was a rival of Bryan, he steps up and he says, you know, I want to be the defense. Clarence Darrow was a lawyer, and according to the article, he was agnostic and he specialized in defending unpopular people and radical causes. So, what we're going to learn is that he specializes in basically playing the devil's advocate. And so he's going to defend the creationist theory, while William Jennings Bryan is going to prosecute the teacher, John Scopes, who was teaching this theory of, I believe, creationism or evolution. And so you can obviously see that there is major hype built up around this whole issue, this whole situation. Well, let me back up for a second and talk about John Scopes. John Scopes was a teacher in the area. He taught math, but the last year he had taught for like 2 weeks a science class. And because he taught in that science class, they were asking him if he'd be willing to volunteer and be put on trial. And so Scopes was, even though he was a creationist, he was like, yeah, I got no problem with it. It is what it is. He willingly participated in the case. And so what we see is he gets prosecuted, and he's actually going to have to pay a fine of like $100, but that fine gets waived. And so the modernists win the trial. I do want to show you this bulletin or this article from the New York Times in 1925. This shows how much hype was built around this. William Jennings Bryan in Dayton called the Scopes trial a duel to the death, and that if evolution won, Christianity couldn't survive because you could only have one or the other. And he sees that the Bible is at stake. And last but not least, I want to describe what it was like for the modernists after they won this case in a fundamentalist town. So we see here that this article is published in, I believe, Dayton, and it says that the people in the town that were strictly fundamentalist refused to service the two men, Mr. Malone and Mr. Darrow, who were modernist. And so I chose to highlight this situation, the Scopes trial, because in my opinion, it best shows the controversy between fundamentalists and modernists. Fundamentalists were all about, creationism and not allowing evolution to be taught in school, while the modernists were all about letting evolution be taught in school. They didn't mind. And they come head to head in this trial.